Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be creating a musical ball animation inside of Davinci Resolve in the Fusion page. Now this was inspired by Victor D. Montaigne's animation. I believe he did that in Cinema 4D. We will be doing this inside of the Fusion page. So hopefully you will learn something new along the way. So let's get started. I have this audio clip. Let's listen to it. So on every bell we have over here, we will create a bounce, and we are not going to be keyframing it. This will all be done using particle, the Emitter node. Let's get started. Make sure you have your audio ready. I got this audio from Juice Pack Manager. I have already done a video on it. You can check out that in the previous video. So just download the audio from there and then drag in a Fusion composition. Match it up with the length of your audio, and then let's go to the Fusion page where we will create this animation. I should also give a huge shout out to VFX Study for showing this technique where he used particles to create the bounce animation. We will be using the similar technique in this video. So let's get started by adding particle to this. Add in a P emitter. It's going to be really simple. Let's also add in a P render to this, so that we can see the particle. We zoom in, these are our particles. Go to the very first frame, which is frame 0, by clicking on this icon. Also, you can see the frame is 0 over here. We will go to our P emitter, set the number to 1, and create a keyframe. So just activate the keyframe by clicking on this diamond icon. Go to the very next frame, which is frame 1 over here, and set the number to 0. So now we have only one particle over here, which is really tiny. You should see it right over here. If I go to style and change that to maybe blob, you should see more clearly that this is our single particle over here. Right, so now what we are going to do next is after frame 100, our particle will disappear. And that's because of this lifespan, which is set to 100. We're going to set this to 249, or let's just set this to 250. Now our particle will stay for the entire length of our animation. The next thing is we want to stylize our particle. We don't want to use this style, which is set to blob. We can either set this to brush, and from the list of the brushes, we can select bubble, which kind of mimics the ball, or we can create our own ball over here ourselves. So just add in a shape 3D and download a texture, marble texture from Unsplash. I have one over here. And I can connect this texture to the shape 3D. Take a look at the shape 3D. This is how it's going to look. It's set to, the shape 3D is set to plane. We will set this to sphere. And we have the texture around the sphere over here. And of course, we need to change the radius as well, as it's too big. But we will see that in a moment. How do we connect this to the P emitter? Well, in the P emitter, you have to select that first. And in the style, set this to bitmap. Now it will accept inputs. So we can connect the shape 3D to the P emitter, but it will not work because since this is in a 3D environment, we need to render this into 2D first. So add in a renderer 3D, click on add, and now we can connect this to the P emitter. Now in the renderer 3D, we can actually see the particle over here and it's getting cropped up. That's because our shape 3D, the size or the radius is kind of big. So let's just reduce that till we see the ball over here. So I'm going to set this to 0.5. After the P emitter, we will add some force to this. We will add in a P directional force. And this will kind of add this gravitational force to our particle. You can see that this falls down. And also, by the way, as I just played the video, I also heard, maybe you have also heard the audio in the background. If you were not able to hear this audio, this particular audio in the Fusion page, then all you have to do is just add in a media in to this. Just select this node, go to keyframes, expand it, and you can see the left and the right audio channels over here. If you click on this icon, zoom to fit, you should see the waveform of the audio. And we will use this waveform to create the bounce so that it matches correctly. So now we have this directional force, which just adds some gravitational force to this. And of course you can change the direction, but by default it's set to -90, which is fine, which is what we need. Then we need to add some 3D shapes to create our bounce, because we need to bounce it off of something, right? So for that we need a shape 3D. So let's just do that. So after what you can do is we'll just click somewhere in the middle in the empty space and add in a shape 3D. This will be our background. So I can just rename this to shape 3D underscore BG. And then if I just view this, it's going to be plain. This is exactly what we want. We might want to change the size as well, but let's just keep this as it is for now. The next thing is we want to add in the pedal where the ball will bounce off of. So we'll create another shape 3D. I can just copy and paste it down below and just go to material quickly and just change the color so that we can differentiate it. And if I just merge these two together, this will result in Merge 3D. Take a look at it. Just rotate it around. This is how it's going to look. And in the shape 3D, the second one, which is set to this pinkish color, we will go to controls and set this to cube, right? And then we will uncheck lock width, height, depth. We will reduce the width. We'll reduce the height. We will reduce the depth. And also make sure that it's in front of the plane like that. So if you view in the front perspective, this is how it's going to look. And I'll just reduce the width and the height, something like this, right? If I just connect this Merge 3D to the P render, this will result in another Merge 3D. Take a look at it. And we have our particle, right? It's at the back actually. You can see that it's at the back. So we want to move it forward. So just select your P emitter and just use the axis controls over here and move it forward like so. As you can see, we'll just also make sure that it starts from the top over here, somewhere over here, and it falls like so. It falls through the shape. So we need to add another node after the P directional force. We will add in a P bounce at that. So now what you can do is in the P bounce, we will change the region, and the region is set to line. We will change that to mesh, and the mesh that we will use is this shape 3D that we just created. Just take the output and connect it to this P bounce, and now the ball will start bouncing off of this shape over here. I should also mention that there should be a little weird behavior over here. If I just zoom in, you can see that the ball kind of goes inside the shape over here, and it's because it's looking for the origin of this shape 3D, right? That's why it will not bounce until it's in contact with that shape. So in order to kind of fix this, what we can do is I can add another, or I can just copy the shape 3D and paste it, or you can just, while it's still selected, hit Control V to paste it, and this should add in a Merge 3D, right? I'll go to the second background over here, the background node. I'll just change the color real quick, and what we can do is now go to controls and we'll set the height to 0, and we'll go to transform and increase the Y, something like this. Now it's on top. Now what we can do is we can take this Merge 3D and use that as a P bounce mesh, right? So as you can see right over here, we can still see the clipping, but if I just move the shape 3D, the second one, and move it somewhere over here, now it is not going into that shape 3D anymore. Yeah, there is this little gap, but it is really little. You won't notice it when we play the animation. So yeah, I think this distance is quite fine. We can leave it right there. So now we should not have that problem. But I don't want to see this red shape, right? So we can do is we can go to the material of that shape and set the opacity to 0, right? That should fix it. Now we need to change the rotation of the shape, because right now the ball is just moving up and down. It's gonna do this continuously. So let's just go to Merge 3D, transform, and change the Z rotation, and can just rotate it either on the left or to the right. So it looks something like this. Now, as you can see, the ball has too much force or motion to this. So we can reduce this by going to the P-bounce controls. And we have this elasticity option. So let's just reduce that. And we should see this kind of bounce, right? So of course you can change that to however you want, but it should also kind of look realistic, right? So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna actually rotate this even more, something like this. Now I want the ball to hit the middle over here. So I think I have to change the position in the Merge 3D. So let's just do that. So let's just move it right over here. So it kind of hits the middle and then bounces off. Right, so now we need to match it up with the keyframes. So if I go to my media in, go to keyframes, I should be able to see my fist waveform, which is right over here at frame 14. So we need to match it up. Let's go to the Merge 3D and we have to move it up actually. So somewhere over here, it should look something like this. So now this is our first bounce. Now, again, we have to kind of copy these three nodes, the shape 2 and the merge. So what I can do is I can group these three, Control G to group it. You can also rename it, keep it organized. So I'll just move it right over here. And now I can copy this group, paste it right over here. Make sure there is no connection between these two groups. And then I can connect this group to this merge like so. And now I can expand this group, double click on it, and in the Merge 3D, I can move it where the next bounce is. For that, we have to actually go to media in, go to keyframes, and look at the waveform where the next peak is in the waveform, which is right over here, frame 43. I'm going to exit out of this keyframe view, and in the Merge 3D of the second group, go to transform and change the position. So just put it right there, and it is not interacting, but let's just try and all right, so I got why it's not doing so. We don't have to connect the second group to this merge directly. We have to actually connect it to this Merge 3D, which is at the top, right? And now you should be able to bounce it off. Still it is not working. Yeah, the reason for that is because here on the P bounce, it's set to this group. We want to use this Merge 3D, which is right over here, because all of our shapes are connected to this Merge 3D. Now what we can do is we can use this single Merge 3D to create our P bounce. Otherwise, if you don't do this, then you had to create this repeated P bounce nodes. You had to copy and paste it like 6-7 times on every beat of the music. This is what I actually did when I created this animation. I'm going to show you that real quick in my pictures. Yeah, this is what I did actually. I created this repeated P bounce nodes, as you can see, which created a lot of mess. But now we'll use the single P bounce node, right? So now if you take a look at it, it works absolutely fine, right? So that's how it will look. Now if you see there is a little gap over here, we can fix this by going into our second background and changing the position. So the control key and be precise with this. That should be fine. All right, so now I can copy this group. Let me just zoom in and copy and paste it right over here. Create kind of like a cluster of these groups, and I'll just move to my next keyframe. Let's go to the media in over here, keyframe. My next bounce is right over here, frame 73. So I'll just go there, select this group, double click on it, go to the merge over here and change the position. And I can also change the rotation. We want to have some random rotations in this. So let's actually take a look at it. After the merge 3D, add in a render 3D. This is our actual output. And now you can see the background shape is quite small. So I can just select this BG shape and increase the size. We can fill that in. And also if you want to change the color, you can do that right over here. Great, so far so good. I can repeat this process for my next animation, which happens at this frame, which is frame 102. I'm going to copy the group and paste it right over here, connect it to this merge, expand it, and on the merge we will change the transform and push it right under the shape, something like that. Also have some randomness in it, change the Z position a little bit. Now as you can see, we don't have that room anymore. Let's just fix that by adding a camera in the scene. We'll connect this camera to this merge 3D, and in the camera go to transform and change the Z position and also change the X and the Y position. Right, let's just move it right over here, maybe right over here in the top left corner. And now you can change the shape background as well. You can either increase the size or just change the position, something like this. So you have to repeat this process for every bounce. Now I'm going to show you how you can rotate the ball, because right now it's kind of stationary. So let me just show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go to the camera over here and kind of focus in the top left corner where our ball is. So you can see when it hits, there is no spin to it. Also, we need to fix this issue over here. If your ball is going inside the mesh, you already know you have to select that group. And in the second shape over here, just move the shape above like so. To spin, all you have to do is go to the P bounce over here and change the spin slider and move it to the left so that spins clockwise. If I play the animation now, let's just increase this quite a bit. You can see we have the spinning animation, which is pretty cool, right? That's how you can add spin to the particle or the ball itself. Then the next thing is the lighting. Now this is the most important step, and we will be adding a directional light to this. I didn't even know this node even existed, directional light. All I knew was there is a spotlight and an ambient light. But then I right clicked, add tool 3D, and in the light section you have actually the directional light, point light, and these 4 lights we have access to. So always make sure you right click, add tool, and you can, you'll find some interesting nodes in here from this list in this context menu. Of course, you cannot remember all of these, right? So yeah, make a habit of using this context menu. So we'll just add in a directional light connected to this merge. And now in the renderer 3D, we will enable the lighting and the shadows. Also, there's a switch to hardware renderer. I think it just gives better results. And now in the directional light, go to transform, and we will use the target option over here. If you take a look at this merge 3D, rotate around, this is where our target is. So let's just kind of push it back a little and change the Z position as well of the light. And let's just take a look at render. Let's just set this up real quick, and you can see the shadows are too harsh. So you can go to controls of the directional light, expand the shadows, and in the softness section you can set this to variable fast, and you will have these softer shadows, and also reduce the density. We don't want that to be too dark. And also for the color, we will actually pick the same color as the color of our background. Of course, you can increase the filter size, make your shadows even smoother, and of course spend some time in here. Then you can also add multiple lights to this. For example, you can add in an ambient light. This will brighten up the scene a little. You can change the intensity and all that stuff. You can then also make sure to animate the camera. So I can animate the translate group over here, and as the ball is moving forward, I can start changing the camera position. You can also disable high quality and motion blur so that you have a better playback. Also, don't forget to add some easing to the camera movement. Go to the spline and select all, hit S on the keyboard, and it should smooth out camera movement. And what I also did was also added some keyframing into the material over here. So if I expand the group, the shape 3D group, in the material section, I keyframe the specular over here. So as it touches, right at this frame, create a keyframe on exponent, and once it touches, set the exponent to 0. So it lights it up like so. And then we will repeat this process for the next shape, which is right over here. Expand the shape 3D, go to material, create a keyframe under specular, exponent, go to the next frame and set the exponent to 0. The next thing you can do is add some glow to this. So after renderer 3D, you can add in a soft glow. Take a look at it. That looks nice. We will increase the glow size and change the threshold so that we kind of focus on this area over here. You can change the gain and you can disable the blue from here. You can definitely play around with this to get a nice result out of it. So if I just play this again, that's how it will look. So that is pretty much it. That's how you can create this music ball animation inside of the Fusion page. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something new. If you did, then please make sure you leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.